Tutorial Tuesday!
Let me learn you something, kid.
What's up, Gunpla fans? This is Joey Gunota here with another video, and today we're going to be looking at how to remove seam lines with sandpaper, starting with those Zaku feet that we cemented together last week. This is why we wanted that cement to ooze through. You'll want some sandpaper. I have this pack here, starting with 320 all the way up to 12,000 grit. Plenty of sandpaper in this package, and it only costs about $10. We're not even going to use a fraction of what's in here. I've cut 4 strips into 1-inch sections, starting with a 320 grit, a 400 grit, a 600 grit, and a 1000. Folding the pieces of sandpaper in half allows a bit more structural stability of the sandpaper and gives you a better grip. Starting with the 320 grit, we're going to go ahead and start sanding away that seam line. And the process may take a little while, but I promise you that the end result is well worth it. As you can see, the seam line is basically ground down pretty smooth. We're going to go ahead and continue down the bottom of the foot, sanding and sanding away. Go ahead and clean it up a little bit. We can take a look at what we've got. And as you can see, it's pretty well flattened out. And here's a side-by-side comparison with the sanding progress versus unsanded. You can see that seam is still very, very visible on the unsanded. Next, we're going to start with the 400 grit. Go ahead and fold that piece in half as well. And just start sanding like before. Sanding and sanding and sanding and sanding. Dust away that sanded plastic, and here's another comparison. As you can see, it's getting a lot smoother. Now we move on to the 600 grit, and again it's the same process. Just go ahead and sand that down. At this point we're almost polishing the plastic, but not quite. And once that's done, we'll take another look at the unsanded versus sanded. And right now you see a lot of micro scratches in the plastic, so while it may feel smooth, it doesn't look smooth. Here's the trick. Take a little bit of water and take your 600 grit sandpaper. Go ahead, get that wet. And begin sanding with the wet sandpaper. This is a process called wet sanding, and it actually polishes the plastic better than dry sandpaper. As you can see, it leaves these wet swirls. We're going to go ahead and wipe that off with a tissue. And now it's feeling very smooth. And it's looking a lot smoother as well. The micro scratches are getting smaller and smaller. Pretty soon they should be gone. Moving on to the 1000 grit. Same as before, we're going to fold this piece in half. But this time, we're going to skip straight to wet sanding. Go ahead and polish up your plastic. Get it nice and smooth. You'll see at this point it is very smooth. How smooth? Squeaky smooth. Now just continue this process all along the entire seam line, and pretty soon you'll have a finished piece. Looking pretty good in comparison. That seam line is practically gone. Sometimes you'll see little pinholes, such as the one here on the toe, or sometimes you'll have a seam that's just stubborn and kind of rough, no matter how much you sand it. Well, there's a remedy for that. But that's for another video. Until next time, guys, happy building and be good to each other.